So once we get a successful build here, whether it's on the master branch or a feature branch, it goes to our releases, and it automatically creates a release. And so here we have a few releases already done. We've got release 25 that's gone all the way through, and release 26. And so if we go and look at our release process first in our jobs, we'll see that we install the CLI tools, then we deploy the release. So back in our build step, we were just creating the release with the artifact we just created. And when we did create the release, we uploaded the artifacts to Octopus Deploy. We zipped them up, uploaded them to Octopus Deploy, and then waited. Created the release and waited. What this does here is it will then go and just deploy that release we created. It deploys it, we wait for it, and then once it's done, we take the test files that we had built and run those tests. And so this is running tests on the environment we had just spun up. And so that way we can wait for it, have Octopus do our deployments, which is what Octopus is really good at. But when we get here, we have Azure run the tests, which is something Azure is more suitable for doing, because it has things for showing test results and all those other things.
And one aspect on that is if you look at Octopus Deploy itself, it has no test reporting feature. It's just not built for that.
Right.
Now you can run arbitrary command lines in Octopus Deploy, so technically you could run anything, but there's no mechanism for test reporting or to see what passed or failed. And interestingly enough, GitHub Actions itself, is still have yet to implement, test capabilities. Whereas in Azure Pipelines, it supports running the test, reporting the test, analyzing the test, test artifacts. It supports that wonderfully. So this first deployment here, you want to run post-deployment tests. You want to run those tests from Azure Pipelines, because that's where you'll be able to see and analyze the results of those tests. That's a really important distinction.
Right. And so this will run the tests. And then once the tests are done, everything passes, what we have set up is deployment gates, where it's done here and it's going to ask, hey, test team, are you ready to have the next artifact put into your environments? That this is done so that way the test team, they're running tests, they're not quite done with what they're working on now. This doesn't pull the rug out from underneath their feet. This gives them the opportunity to say, yes, I'm ready for it, and then approve the release, and it does all the scripts for them to get their environment ready for the next artifacts to be tested. Now, as you see here, we do have more than the 3. We do have we have 5 environments. Octopus Deploy typically recommends 5 environments as a good rule of thumb. Our dev TDD environments for automated testing and to make sure things work as intended, nothing broke. We have the test environment, and those are for your test team. This is for your exploratory testing. These are for manual testing and those things that, finding new edge cases for new unit tests, integration tests to be written. The stage is for your operations teams, people to practice your deployments. This typically includes things like backing up databases, using production-like data, and those sorts of things to test, make sure nothing's going to break before you break a customer environment. Following that is our UAT environment, and what that is for is our customer test, for our customers to test things. A lot of times customers might write their own integrations for your software. And so if that's the thing you allow and encourage, then you want to give them an environment to test, make sure that their environment's not going to break before it goes to their production. So it gives them time to test things, update their integrations, and those sorts of things before their actual use environment gets broken. And then from there, we have our traditional production. And again, this is just the 5 environments. What these do is these tie into Octopus environments and Octopus deployments. While we don't have deployment targets defined here in Azure, all that's done, taken care of in Octopus Deploy, because Octopus is more suited for handling complex and different types of deployment strategies. So all of these are essentially the same, where we're installing the CLI and we're doing a promotes from the previous environment to the next environment, which is the only difference between the TDD environment, and all these other definitions. We're now just promoting these environments, promoting the artifacts into the new environments. And so what that looks like in Octopus, if you're ready to go there, Jeffrey.
Well, let's go over the two types of integrations when we're deploying something on the previous screen. So we're using the promote. There's three commands that we have Azure pipeline send to Octopus Deploy, and they're native, they're native commands in here, but under the covers, they're just calling a web service over to Octopus. The first one is create release. We did that in our build, our integration build configuration, just to create the release in Octopus. The second one is promote, which you see here, which is environment A to environment B, whatever's on there. The third one is deploy, and that is when we say, regardless of what's going on, I want to deploy this exact version release candidate that's in our package repository to environment A. And so we showed you those 5 environments in series, and you really need to analyze for your own team. Most teams do some type of testing before we let it, a potential customer, a friendly customer, even see it before pre-production in UAT, just to make sure it's not something didn't happen. And so we sequence it that way. If you routinely have manual test environments that have no sequencing to speak of, and they're just in parallel, we would modify that, and it's easy to make environments in parallel. If you routinely skip, a customer specific environment, like, a lot of hot fixing, or you don't even let customers see it and you just go straight into production, then that's where you would choose to use the deploy command instead of the promote, so that you can have the control in Azure pipelines to skip an environment and go straight through. But that's what's available. That's what they do. And so I wanted to talk about when to use each one.
Great. And I do want to point out that Octopus Deploy is written API first. So if there's something that's not natively built, they do have a public API on every instance on every Octopus server instance that you have running. So you can authenticate with that and hit that to do something that may be more complex and more nuanced to meet your needs, if these don't meet your needs out the box. One thing that I also did forget to mention, going through the differences, is in our production environment, as for sort of foreshadowing, is we're using tenants to show a more complex type of deployment. The Octopus Deploy handles very well. And in this case, we're showing geo-regions. Instead of having 4 production environments, you still have your 1 production environment, but sort of break that up with your tenant tags.